The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan are one of New York's largest independently owned insurance agencies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being present at a regular Town of Queensbury Town Board meeting, July 1st, 2019. It's 7 p.m., and if you would, please all rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin the regular agenda, I'd like to say a little something about the previous town supervisor of the town of Queensbury. He was also a councilman. He was many things. As I said to Don Lehman in the Post-Star, he was truly a Renaissance man, and I am talking about John Austin, or some of you call him Judge Austin. All right. The Honorable John DeLong Austin, Jr. of Queensbury, and I'm taking bits and pieces from newspaper articles and a Senate resolution introduced by Senator Little. So he died June 17th, 2019. Now that should ring a bell to you. June 17th, 2019, another very famous person that you know died on that date, and that's Joseph Warren, told you that. But also another very famous person, John Austin, the age of 84. He was a Warren County lawyer, judge, author, historian, genealogist, councilman, and town supervisor, town of Queensbury, 1973 and 74, one term. He served in Warren County Family Court, Surrogates Court, County Court from 1984 to 2003. When he stepped down, he was appointed Warren County Historian until 2010. He was born in Cambridge, Washington County, May 31st, 1935. And then he moved to Ridge Road. His house is still there. It's the beautiful stone house on Sunnyside East. Or he moved over to Sunnyside East in the stone house. He was old enough to have attended a one-room schoolhouse. He then went to Jackson Heights, went to Glens Falls Junior and Senior High School, and graduated with a class in 1953. He also received degrees from Dartmouth College and Albany Law School. He was the editor of the Dartmouth, America's oldest college newspaper. He enlisted in the Army in 1958, served as an infantryman and a rocket launcher specialist in Germany, and later served in the National Guard. He was also a reporter and editorial director of the Glens Falls Times. He was editor of the Lake George Mirror. He did radio news reports for WWSC. So at the time he was admitted to the practice of law in 1969, he also became active in politics, and he served as the town of Queensbury councilman, a county supervisor, a town supervisor, including the duties of Warren County budget officer and social services chairman. He was a law clerk for both the county court and surrogate court, and then gave up his private practice in 1980 to become a full-time law clerk in Supreme Court. In 1984, he was appointed to serve Warren County Family Court judge and thereafter elected 2 successive terms, serving 15 years. So his commitment was to excellence. His spirit of humanity carried over onto all fields of enterprise, including charitable and civic endeavors. In October of 2002, he started the county's drug treatment court as an alternative to state prison. And this valuable program has had an 80% success rate. He was chairman of the county youth fair, and as a youth, he had been a member of the Mighty Men, the first boys club and the 4-H club in Warren County. He also served on the board of Warren County Head Start as treasurer and board member of the Chapman Historical Museum. His soulmate was Marcia K. Bean. She passed away in 1997. They were originally married in 1969 at the Lady of Annunciation. So he was a longtime fan of the Adirondack Red Wings. He loved hockey, and you can go on and on and on about this man. I worked with him, fortunately, on 2 occasions. One was in developing the 50-year history of the Queensbury school system, along with Marilyn Van Dyke and Carolyn Curran. John Austin and I, we all put our minds together, and Joan Aldis also worked on that. I worked on the 250th anniversary of the town of Queensbury with John Austin. I mean, if you wanted to know anything about one-room schoolhouses, John Austin was the person to go to. He knew everything about the area's 1-room and 2-room schoolhouses. Holden's book on the history of Queensbury, I thought he had it memorized. I'd ask a question about something that might have been in Holden's history of Queensbury, and he'd quote it. I mean, he was an amazing mind. He was an amazing person. Like I said, he was a true Renaissance person. So I just wanted to pay homage to a man so valuable to this community, and I thought it'd be appropriate to have a moment of silence too, if you would accommodate me in that matter. Thank you. Thank you very much. In the memory of John Austin. Very few like him. All right, now to our regular agenda, and we do have one item in the Board of Health, so we must enter the Queensbury Board of Health. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Ferrell.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Switzer. All those in favor of moving into the Queensbury Board of Health, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're officially into the Queensbury Board of Health. Our first and only public hearing. Please, Karen.
Sure, it's a public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of Claudia Gersten.
Is there an agent present? Ma'am, would you come forward? And please have a seat. And would you identify yourself?
Mackenzie Pelton, Rosensky Hall Architecture.
Pelton, P-U.
Pelton.
Okay, and you were with?
Rosensky Hall Architecture.
Rosensky Hall?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Mackenzie, we have before us a public hearing, but here's the information. We're talking about a residence owned by Claudia Gersten. And her residence is
61 Fitzgerald.
is located on 61 Fitzgerald Road. Thank you, Bob. And she would like to place 3 new 1,250 gallon holding tanks for a total of 3,750 gallons of capacity in lieu of a sewage disposal system to be located beneath the parking area on the property of 61 Fitzgerald Road. And so George and I, just did a site visit half an hour ago or so. And I know the question is going to be coming up, how is a pumping truck going to get down that steep driveway?
I'm not sure.
George was scared to death.
Yeah.
We were in my Volkswagen Bug convertible with no
Yeah.
top, no protection, we had no helmet.
Yep. So the existing system is there now. And I think they have previously had it pumped by IBS because they were the ones that had first brought the job to us.
How about in the winter?
I wouldn't know. I don't know when they,
Is it a year-round residence?
it might be, but I don't think so.
Well, that's the concern George and I had when we did the site visit this afternoon, was getting a pumper truck down there in the winter. I like holding tanks, especially as close as this residence is to Glen Lake, because I know where it is and I know where it's not going. And given the terrain, there's really very little else they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, but just,
John, I can attest to the fact that you're looking at about 57 feet of distance between the road and the tanks. And I know that IBS houses hoses that are at least 100 feet. So they don't even have to go down the hill. They can stay at the top of the hill and pump it.
all right.
And the reason I know that is because our system is 100 feet back from the road and they pump from the road.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's all.
Yeah, definitely.
What's there now?
There now is a septic tank and 2 dry wells. It's kind of like right under where the new tanks are. It's called out, it's 2 little circles.
And the lids of these tanks are gonna be highway rated.
Yep. They're called out for H20, which is the highway grade.
Any other questions at this time from any board member before I open it to the public?
So there's no space at all for septic and field or anything? There's just nothing
No.
there?
No.
I mean, I did look at it, Google Earth. and
Yeah.
There's nothing?
We are blessed that they want to do hose and tank
Yeah,
here.
okay.
I think. Anyway.
I think it'd be an
Well, it's better
engineering
than timely.
nightmare to do anything else.
Yep.
And the pump that's gonna pump to these tanks is in the home?
The-
I would imagine because the home is below.
I believe so,
the
yep.
grade where
I think it's a grinder pump
Okay,
that goes up.
yeah, because that wasn't on the,
And it has an alarm package and all the bells and whistles.
Yep.
All right, let me open it to the public. Any member of the public wish to speak to this application for 61 Fitzgerald Road on the shores of Glen Lake? Application for holding tanks in lieu of a septic system. Seeing no member of the public interested in discussing this, any last questions or thoughts on behalf of the town board before we go to a vote? All right,
Just have to close the public.
I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Karen. That's Tony's job. Thank you. So, anyone want to put this resolution forward to approve?
I'll introduce.
Introduced by Councilman Metterbeer, Seconded by Councilman Ferone. Roll call vote, please, Karen.
Councilperson Atherton?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Switzer?
Yes.
Stroud?
Yes.
Menavich?
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for the Queensbury Board of Health. Have a motion to move out of the Queensbury Board of Health.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Ferone,
Seconded.
seconded by Councilwoman Atherton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? It's unanimous. We're now out of the Queensbury Board of Health. Now, the period, we have 19 resolutions before the town board tonight. I will explain the 19, describe the 19 resolutions to you briefly, and then give the members of the public an opportunity to speak to any of the resolutions that they wish to speak to. Now, if you have another town topic that's not related to the resolutions, I will give you an opportunity during this meeting, towards the end of the meeting, to come forward and speak to this board about that issue that's not related to the resolutions. Okay? So here are the resolutions. Resolution 3.1, please, Karen.
Resolution approving repurchase of cemetery lot in Pineview Cemetery from Linda S. Judah.
Yes, so we do buy back lots that were bought by the public, and this is for an amount of $466.67 to purchase a cemetery lot, the Pineview Cemetery, from Linda Judah. 3.2,
Resolution authorizing appointment of Carly Moon as second deputy receiver of taxes and assessment.
all right. Tammy Landers, who was in this position, went over to the assessment office. And, they missed her in the town clerk's office, but she wanted to change the pace. She wanted to try the assessor's office, and that's fine. She's doing well there. So that left a vacancy of a full-time position of second deputy receiver. And so the town clerk, Caroline Barber, has reviewed resumes, conducted interviews of candidates, and she is recommending Carly Moon for this position. So this is a motion to authorize the appointment of Carly Moon to the position of second deputy receiver of taxes and assessments at the annual salary of $40,000 effective on or about July 8th, 2019, subject to successfully completing pre-employment physical background checks as reasonably necessary to judge fitness, drug and alcohol screenings, and Ms. Moon's successful completion of a 20-week, 6-week probation period and any applicable civil service requirements. 3.3,
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for replacement office trailer at Ridge Road Transfer Station.
all right, we have currently an office trailer at Ridge Road Transfer Station. Some of you might be familiar with Luzerne Road, where we have a little shed there. But the office trailer is almost like the home base for our transportation people, especially Rich Paris, who is the superintendent of our transfer stations and solid waste disposal. And he needs a new trailer. There's no doubt about it. I think just about everybody on this board has been up there, looked at it, and there's no doubt about it. So this allows him to go out to bid for a replacement office trailer at the Ridge Road Transfer Station. 3.4,
Resolution approving revisions to town landfill transfer station fee schedule.
all right, Rich Paris, the superintendent of landfill and solid waste, as I just mentioned, was saying that we've had a lot of people bringing big stuff like mattresses, sofas, seats, chairs to our transfer station, much more than usual. Well, as you may know or may not know, Washington County has privatized their transfer stations. So, of course, the rates go up. And our rates, well, they would save $5 by bringing it here. So people would drive all the way over here, put their sofa in. All right, so we compared our prices, and we're proposing a new schedule. A single mattress, all right, we were charging $8. We're proposing to charge $15. And I'm not going to go through every one of these, but for the sake of explaining, Washington County was charging $20, is charging $20. We were charging 8, so there was $12 difference. We're gonna shove that up to 15, and Town of Monroe charges 15. All right, the mattress. We were charging 12, we're proposing to charge 15. Washington County charges 20, Monroe charges 15. So you would see, if you're interested, the newspaper might be in all these. It goes on, just like that. So we're just proposing a small increase in each of these to make them comparative to Washington County and the Town of Monroe, the two other transfer areas. Okay. Resolution 3.5.
Resolution authorizing purchase of 2020 International Model HB 507 4x2 tandem axle cabin chassis and front plow and wing with spreader for use by Town Highway Department.
All right, thank you, Karen. Highway Superintendent Dave Dool and his deputy, Mark Benware, are both here. So we have a 2002 International Single Axle dump truck that has serious motor issues, 2002. We got our use out of it, but he needs to buy a new replacement truck. Now this truck will primarily, and the reason why it's single action, it needs to be a little bit more maneuverable, as does the Glen Lake region. And even though this calls for buying a plow, which we need, we're also looking at buying an articulating live edge plow. And that would be paid for with grant money in the effort of reducing salt in the Lake George Champlain Basin. All right, so this new 2020 International HB 507 4x2 tandem axle cab and chassis, front plow and wing with spreader to replace the 2002 that I just mentioned, for a total amount of $193,408.80. And with this is piggybacking on the Onondaga County bid 8996. So, like I said, it's to be purchased from Navistar in accordance with the June 4th, 2019 New York State Municipal Quote for an amount of $153,499, which includes a 60-month, 100,000-mile extended warranty for an extra amount of $4,380. The purchase of a front plow and wing with spreader from Viking Sieves in accordance with a May 22nd, 2019 sales quote for the amount of $90,592.30 for an amount totaling $244,091, less a 15% discount of $36,613.65, less another additional discount of $14,068.55, resulting in a total purchase price of $193,408.80. 3.6, Karen, please.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Chief Pete's Lawn Care for monthly mowing services or one-time property cleanup services at certain abandoned or neglected properties.
All right, for this is 3 Wagon Trail and 1483 State Route 9. And if they start cleaning it up because they heard about it before this gets there, then we won't have to pay for it. 3.7.
Resolution authorizing establishment of Garrison Road Drainage Capital Project Fund number 229 and engagement of Keon Pipeline Inspection KPI for CCTV investigation of stormwater.
All right.
Storm sewer.
Thank you, Karen. All right, so David and Mark were talking to me one day that they were going to go over and look at Garrison Road, and I asked to go along, and so we did, and Mark and Dave lifted up some of the lids for the what do you call them?
The manholes.
Manhole lids, and looked down, and we see some flow in parts of it, and we didn't see flow in other parts of it. We see that it's an old system. It may even be clay pipe, or it is clay pipe with bricks and everything else, and it looks like a section of it is failing. And there's even a small indention in Garrison Road that appears that something's failing along that stormwater line on Garrison Road. And it also empties part of Route 9, so maybe the state ought to get involved. But it looks like it might be a huge project. So we're going to get it inspected by Keon Pipeline Inspection. They submitted the least expensive quote, and they have successfully completed similar projects And therefore, Chazen, our engineering firm that we use mostly, recommends KPI with CCTV investigation services. So I said to Barbara, I said, you know, Barbara, I got a feeling this Garrison Road's going to turn out to be a big project. And so, you know, with the TV inspection, we'll have a better idea what's going on. We're going to need to secure the services, engineering services of Chazen. And Catherine, you know, when they do the TV inspection and everything else, I'll keep you informed and invite you to any meetings that we have on the matter.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So we're putting $25,000 for now in a capital reserve for this purpose. 3.8, Karen?
Resolution authorizing upgrade replacement of certain equipment covered by lease agreement between Town of Queensbury and National Business Equipment.
All right. So our printing equipment and printers, we lease and buy through a lease and buy agreement with National Business Equipment. It's been very good. If we have any problems, they fix them. If we need a new one, they replace it. So it's very efficient. And so we've been very happy with the service. And the new proposal is even less expensive than the old proposal. Budget Officer Barbara Tierney. Last year, our monthly cost was $3,520.96. Coming forward, our monthly cost will be reduced to $2,863.29. This is, according to Barbara Tierney, a yearly savings of $7,891.64. So this is the go ahead with that. 3.9.
Resolution authorizing acceptance of easement from Richard B. Straub.
All right. So, like I said, Highway Superintendent Dave Duell is present if we need some clarification on this, but we needed to improve drainage on Jenkins Road. And in order to do that, we needed to use a piece of property owned by Richard Straub located on 27 Jenkins Road. And he worked with us in granting this easement and being able to get a solution to the stormwater flow situation. And we want to thank, if this gets approved, we'll use his easement. But besides that, we want to thank Mr. Straub for his generosity in conveying the easement to the town of Queensbury. 310,
Resolution authorizing clean energy and climate smart community grant applications relating to greenhouse gas inventory, climate action plan, and fluorinated GHG initiative.
all right, the Queensbury Climate Smart Communities Grant, our Communities Committee recently met, and Kathy Bozzoni, who works for the town on environmental issues and chairs this committee, and Councilwoman Atherton is a member of the committee as well, wants to apply for 2 grants. So she needs our permission to go forward with that application. If she gets that permission tonight, she can go forward. And the 2 grants are, this first one is the one that Glens Falls had, the city of Glens Falls had, and they thought that we would be able to piggyback on their grant and use the money they didn't use. Well, that sounded good, but the grant people said, no. You got to do your own. Okay. So this is an application for financial assistance to finalize and continue updating the town of Queensbury's greenhouse gas inventory and climate action plan. So the town has already begun collecting and accumulating data for the greenhouse gas inventory, which process is divided into a minimum of 3 components: municipal buildings, municipal fleet, and residents and businesses. And the 2019 grant would be written to include the greenhouse gas inventory and the climate action plan. The second grant would be an application to focus in 2020 on identifying the regions, the towns primarily, situation with fluorinated emissions as part of the greenhouse gas emissions. What actions could we do to help reduce the harmful contributions from refrigeration, chillers, AC equipment, and so forth. I think Catherine knows much more about it than I do. And if you want to jump in, feel free, but that is a grant to educate, try and identify where we could improve those areas and reduce those gases, those types of gases. So those are 2 grants. If this town board approves Kathy going ahead and applying for those 2 grants, then she can do so. Resolution 311.
Resolution rejecting bid for utility infrastructure HVAC improvements at Town Hall and Activity Center and authorizing re-advertisement for bid.
All right, this may sound like deja vu. It is. We did go through a bid process for new HVAC improvements in the Town Hall and the Queensbury Activity Center. A company called SmartWatt first identified the need to do this, and then they gave us the particulars. And we were convinced that we need to go this route because the systems are old and they're not efficient. We'll get more efficient systems, reduce the energy use, and reduce costs. But we didn't like the one and only bid that came in on this matter. So we're rejecting that bid that came in about $1 million. And we think it should be much less than that. So this is authorizing and directing the purchase agent to re-advertise for the bids in the late fall, and maybe we'll get better bids. Certainly can't be any worse. And Labella, the people that we've been working with on this matter, also suggested that we go out for a rebid. So that's what the experts said. 312.
Resolution to amend 2019 budget.
All right, just shifting things where they weren't needed to where they were. 313.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Mikhail Brunel as temporary seasonal laborer to work at Town Cemetery.
All right, Michael Brunel is being hired, temporary, seasonal labor to replace Austin Reynolds to work for the cemetery department. Such employment is proposed to commence on or about July 2nd, tomorrow. And if this town board approves this, it will authorize and direct their hiring of Michael Brunel. And he still has to do a background check as reasonably necessary to judge fitness for his duties, and also drug and alcohol screenings and pre-employment physicals and so forth. The laborer, he'll be paid $11.67 per hour. 314.
Resolution authorizing intermunicipal agreement with City of Glens Falls for paving of Border Street, Jerome Avenue.
Okay. A year ago or so, Mayor Hall, Dan Hall, and I communicate all the time. What can we do for you? What can you do for us? What can we work together on? That's the way it should be. That's the way it is. You're going to see a lot of shared services, more so than we already do, coming forward with. One thing that Mayor Hall had asked me, he said, Jerome Avenue, that's the road that connects what we call Dixon Road and turns into Kensington at the border. Our side's called Dixon. Jerome cuts over to Fire Road. That's the property line. And so I talked to the superintendent. Oh, well, let me finish my story. So Mayor Hall said there are no Glens Falls residents that live on that street. Can you help us pave it? Yeah, because all of the north side is Jerome Avenue. So I said, well, I'll ask the board, see if they're willing to consider this, and I did. They said they're willing to consider this. I asked town council, is this something we can do? He says, it's something you can do. Part of Jerome Avenue is in the town of Queensbury. And other rationalizations were included. I called the mayor back. He said, very good. I said, now let's find out what we need to do to get paved. So I had Dave Dool. I asked him if he would go to his independent paver. Yes, our town does a lot of our own paving, but we also hire out some of it too. So he went to them and got a bid, and the city had an arrangement with the same paving outfit, Peckham, to do the paving in their city. And they managed to get a better bid than we did. So we're gonna go with theirs. All right, their bid for grinding down and repaving Jerome was $37,465.93 under bid contract of the Glens Falls for 19-4. All right, so we cut that in half. We each pay $18,732.97. So I said to the mayor, I said, I'll give you a call on Tuesday and tell you whether this are passed or not. If it does, then Queensbury will put in half of the cost of paving Jerome Avenue. And so I want to thank David Dool for helping us out with that. So it's an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Glens Falls and the town of Queensbury, paving the border street of Jerome Avenue. 315.
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for sale of obsolete equipment.
All right, it's a turnstile, HP Laser Jet Pro 400, a 1998 International truck, and a 202 International truck. We'll put on govdeals.com if it's approved by this board. 316.
Resolution authorizing extension renewal of agreement between Town of Queensbury and Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District regarding MS4 stormwater management services through June 30th, 2020.
All right, Craig Brown is our MS4 officer for the Town of Queensbury, but we secure the services with Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District. Jim Liebram. He's the district manager. So we've had this contract for a number of years. And this is a resolution to extend it for one more year. And I say for one more year because the MS world is changing. Now, when I say MS, well, I mean MS4. And that is for the 4 S's. That's why it's called MS4. It's municipal, separate, storm, sewer, system. 4 S's, MS4. All right, we are an MS4 municipality, meaning that we have to work to improve our stormwater situation. As you know, we work very hard to do that. And again, David Dool and Mark Penware help us to do that. That's on their top of their list. So the public outreach program, the public involvement with this, the monitoring of illicit discharges, the construction site runoff controls, construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping are all part of the MS4 program that Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District help us with. So this is to continue the contract at the same price we've been paying, $12,000. 317.
Resolution approving audit of bills, warrants of June 24th and July 2nd, 2019.
All right, the bills can't be paid unless this board approves them. So these are 2 warrants with run dates of June 24th and June 27th, 2019, and payment dates of June 24th and July 2nd of 2019, totaling $19,636.52 and $660,330.63 respectively. 318.
Resolution authorizing submission of New York State Department of State Local Waterfront Revitalization Program grant application.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank and recognize Chris Feldman. He is the Assistant County Planner for Warren County, and he is helping to move these grants along to get our money to do very good things for our community, especially our lake. So he wants to do the consolidated funding application, which you have to have in by July 26th. And he would like to put in some funding. I think he's put in for 70 or 80,000, which would cover the engineering of the proposed, and you probably heard me talk about this before, it's big, the proposed community septic system for Rockhurst. And the map plan and report that needs to be done. If they're to form a district, this needs to be done. The system needs to be designed, and the design has to be part of the map plan and report along with the expected expenses. We're trying to defray those expenses by getting grant money. We're looking to secure necessary property for the infiltration field. This is a grassroots. This wasn't originated, this concept was not originated by this board. It was originated by the residents who live on Rockhurst. They would like to see this. As you know, Rockhurst is a very dense, narrow peninsula. It's a glacial moraine, and each of these residents that are kissing one another all have their own same independent system, septic system. Some have gone to holding tanks, that's good. Some have gone to holding tanks expecting this community system to come in someday. All right, so we're trying to work it out. So in order for Chris Belden to apply on behalf of Queensbury to the consolidated funding application process, like I said, which is due 4 o'clock, not 4:01, not 4:02, as some local people have found out. They tried to make their application at 4:01, thinking it was 5 o'clock that they could make their application. No, 4 o'clock is the cutoff time, and they hold firm. Anyhow, so this is give him approval to go ahead and help us out with this matter. Thank you, Chris Belden. 319 and the last resolution.
Resolution authorizing agreement for provision of wood waste reduction services by Ricky Sears operating as wood waste reduction services.
All right, we've had a long-standing relationship with the Sears Group. Ricky is the son of the Sears tree cutting service that you're probably more familiar with. Ricky has the big grinders and such. So, you know, the fallen trees and everything else, we get to the point where we only have so much room in a Ridge Road landfill and it being used by trees and stumps and everything else. We will, on occasion, when we run out of room, hire Rick to grind this up and put them into piles, and it gives us more space to work with. Someday, somebody's gonna find a use for all these, yeah.
No, I mean, it's.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, we'd give it away for free if you come and get it. And I've said that before and nobody shows up. All right, in any event, we're running out of space. There are times when we need Ricky Sears services. So Dave Duell and Mark Benware and I sat down with town council, Bob Hafner, and later Tom Peterson to work out a deal with Ricky Sears, and he already has a bid worked out with the county, so we can piggyback off the county and those services, and that's what we're doing here. So in order for an approval for a reduction of these wood products on the Ridge Road transfer station site, both Dave Duell and I would need to sign off on it. Okay? And that's what this contract says. And that's the 19 resolutions before the town board tonight. Any thoughts or questions before I open it to the public for thoughts and questions from the town board? Anything yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Had three things. Just wanted to make comment on 3.8. Barbara and staff have done a good job of keeping your office equipment current. And because of that, as this equipment gets older, it costs more to maintain. So keeping it current lowers the cost of that maintenance, and that's why the town is experiencing the lower cost. So that's a good job on their part. And we probably should, as we've talked in the past, try to maybe do that with our highway equipment at some point. I know that's a lot more money than an office machine, but.
Yeah, well, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very much right.
On 310, I just had a question for Catherine on the grants. Are those grants matching grants, Catherine? Are they going to be?
No, they're 50-50.
Oh, 50.
Most of them are 50-50.
Okay, so 50.
Yeah, but it can be in kind, it can, you know.
Okay. All right. And we don't know what that'll be until we get into.
That's right. We don't even have, this is non-binding, so
Right,
it's just allowing Catherine to go
We get the
forward.
information and then we can make the decision. Yep. And the other comment I had was on 316 on Warren County Soil and Water Conservation. That gentleman would come each year to the planning board when I was on a planning board, and they do a really good job, and I'm glad we're continuing to work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got a group, great group.
Very impressive, yeah.
Yeah.
Every year when they came to talk to us, so
Yeah.
those are my comments.
Well, good comment. Thank you, George. Anybody else at this time? All right, members of the public. Anybody like to make comments or share thoughts on any of the resolutions before us tonight? Yes, ma'am.
County Getter Superintendent of Cemeteries, in reference to Resolution 313, the hiring of Michael Brunel, just a couple things. He did pass his investigation, part of his, the finding, the new
Yeah, we
way of
learned that
doing it.
today.
Came back today. Second of all, I'm not sure in the resolution, because I've been on vacation, if it states that there is a blood relative that works in that department.
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
Yep.
Oh, I may have missed that.
No, it
No,
says
you
it. It did.
It is in the resolution?
It's in,
Yeah.
it's in the second
You didn't
whereas.
mention it there.
Okay, that's all I cared about, was making sure that the resolution.
Michael Bunnell is the son of cemetery laborer Michael Bunnell. And they're spelled differently, M-Y-K-A-L
Yes,
versus M-I-C-H-A-E-L. Thank you for bringing that forward. I did
okay,
miss that.
that's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Dave Dool.
Dave DeHall, Down to Queensbury Highway Superintendent. Just some clarification on 3.5, our resolution for the purchase of 2020 International Model HB 507 4x2. It says tandem here. It's single axle on the paperwork there. Just want to make sure that's
Is it typical to buy a 4x2, or is that?
it's a single axle dump truck. It's a 2-wheel drive. It's not an all-wheel drive. It's just a rear-wheel drive.
Well, didn't I mention single axle?
You did mention it, but on the paperwork here it says tandem. Just want to make
In
sure.
the heading. It says
Oh, tandem.
It
All right,
does.
so Bob, we need to scratch
And we're
tandem.
correcting it in the second whereas too. Single axle.
All right. Thank you.
And also in the first resolve.
So, I mean, does that still work well in the winter?
Yeah, that's mostly what our trucks are. Just they're a rear-wheel drive vehicle. You know, if we were to have a 6-wheel drive or so, it'd be for the mountain range, things like that.
So is the 4x2 still accurate, Dave?
Yes, it's just
So
a
it should
single
be 4x2, single axle,
cabin chassis. Yes.
Okay. Town board, okay with that amending of that resolution?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Dave?
Yes. Also, 3.7 resolution establish a Garrison Road drainage project through 229. The engagement of, it says Keyon. It's Kenyon, just for clarification. It's Kenyon.
Oh, okay,
K-E-N, missing an N.
Yes.
okay. That's also in the second whereas.
Board okay with that amending of 3.7?
And elsewhere.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave. Anything
Also,
else?
just on 314, just an update on that. Did get an email from them today. Jerome and Lafayette Street are scheduled for tentatively the 18th and 19th of this month. So we did get that moving fairly quickly. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, they'll be on the schedule for that.
A couple of weeks, they'll be starting to pave Jerome Avenue.
Yeah.
If we
So-
pass this, then we'll pay for Avenue.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, we're almost set to go as well. So,
all right.
and we have a list of items and things we're gonna do.
Do you know who did the paving work on County Line Road? Queensbury?
County line, I believe that was Peckham material.
Very efficient. I mean,
Peckham Road, Peckham material. Between there's two entities there. That's the same outfit that's going to do Jerome, Lafayette, and Sherman Island Road for
They're
us.
the ones that just did West Mountain, too.
Yes,
they know what they're doing.
yes, they do a very good job
Amazing. I mean,
for us. Yep.
if you think about the fact that that road has been paved and striped in 4 days,
Yeah, it was very quick.
they did a nice job. So.
So that's it.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Anybody else on any of the resolutions? Okay, any other thoughts on behalf of town board on any of the resolutions?
No, but we should really do mulching for 319. We sure should be doing mulching. I don't know how we organize that though. I mean, I'm sure there'd be.
It's just a matter of time before, we're talking about it on the Queensbury,
Climate smart.
Climate Smart Communities Committee,
Right.
that, like Waterville Elite, they're starting food streaming, getting it out of the transfer stations, and in our case, transfers out of the landfills and the burn plant, and putting it to use, because that stuff, that food products make good soil if it's composted. So is this other cellulose material. All right, just a matter of time. We got to work and get in that direction, Catherine. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any roll call? All right, I'll like to have a motion to approve 3.1 to 319.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Atherton, seconded by
Second.
Councilwoman Switzer. Roll call vote on resolution 3.1 through 319, please.
Councilperson Switzer,
Yes.
Stroud,
Yes.
Medevere,
Yes.
Atherton,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, unanimous. Any correspondence, Aaron? Privilege of the floor. This is the opportunity, if you want to talk to the town board about any town issue, this is your opportunity to do so. Is there anybody out there that would like to talk? Yes, ma'am.
I have two issues, if I may.
That's fine.
I was wondering what it would take to get water down near Lake Sunnyside, because they're gonna open the road anyway to get rid of the
Your name
wastewater.
first, please.
Oh, Pat Sorcino,
I'm sorry.
Tricia Sorcino. So I believe they were going to help rectify the problem of the stormwater going into Lake Sunnyside from Sunnyside Road. Next year, they were gonna open the road, but if you go down Rockwell Avenue, the hydrant is only a half a mile away from the lake. And with all the people trying to fix their homes or not able to fix their homes, they have to come up with so many variances and, not build the house they want, holding tanks, which makes the house almost a seasonal house rather than a full use house. I started a petition because I do go to the Lake Sunnyside Pals meetings, and I did get several signatures on trying to get a petition for drinking water. The house that we own there has only lake water, and it's not a drinking, you can't drink the water out of Lake Sunnyside. It's not coded as drinkable. So with that being said, I've tried to address this a few times. I have gone to the water department, but I was just wondering, because in the past I was able to do natural gas, bring it down the road. And I know that what happens is that it's X amount of dollars and they spread it through a certain amount of years. And if there's enough people, I'm sure if you knocked on all the doors from a half a mile from here it is, and I believe about a half mile from here, and from Rockville, it's a half mile that way, near Highland Development. Just beyond that, there's condominiums that are built over there. So I was just wondering, if that's possible with petitions, or why is it not?
Petitions are helpful, but, and the process would be, if there seems to be enough interest on behalf of Sunnyside residents,
Yes,
we'll do a look-see.
everybody signed it.
We would do a preliminary review. Well, what we have to do is form a water district for you.
Yes,
And then we have to pay an engineering firm to come up with guesstimates. It's not expensive. The expense would be engineering the system if we got there. They would give you estimates. This is what it would cost per household for us to bring water to Sunnyside. If the people on Sunnyside thought that that cost was reasonable and worth it to them, then we could probably proceed forward. If we have enough water supply going to the area, that would also have to be analyzed.
is there any way, before I go knocking door to door, that I can get an estimate of X amount of people and what the cost would be through what period of time?
I can ask our water superintendent, he is an engineer, to give me a guesstimate.
Okay,
And then if you contact my office or email me through the website or come in like everybody else does,
okay.
just come in.
So how much time should I give you?
And I've got a note here. I'll ask the Superintendent Harrington probably tomorrow about the matter. and see if he can come up with any thoughts on that. And if you give me a contact number, either after this meeting, which should be over with in another 10 minutes,
Okay,
just give me your contact information. I'll
Yes.
get back with you. And if it's scary, so be it. If it seems reasonable, then we'll go forward.
okay.
All right? Okay, Mrs. Sarantino?
Question number 2.
Yes.
I was really here I thought the meeting was, I was told by other neighbors on Lake Sunnyside that the meeting was tonight on Joe Orlo. But it doesn't seem to be on here. And today was the day that he had to either knock it down, side it, or,
Yeah, well, Joe Orlo, and I know what residents you're talking about, and he does need to do something about it, in my opinion, but we don't have jurisdiction over that. That's either a planning board or zoning board.
okay,
There are 2 independent boards or 2 other boards, and it may be towards the end of this month, they have their meetings usually on the 3rd Wednesdays and the 3rd Thursdays of each month. That maybe he's coming before them, or maybe it's time for him to renew his application. And there must be some other matter, but it's not this board.
okay.
Okay, you can call Planning and Zoning
I will.
Brown and ask them about that. So, and that information I can give you more after the meeting too, when we meet up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else? Yes, sir, George?
George Winters, 4 John Clinton Road. In the paper, they had that they were the city of, well, the Civic Center, they were going to ask for $50,000 from the town of Queensbury. But we haven't committed to any of that yet, right?
Right.
And my own personal feeling is that the Civic Center should have been sold a long time. That's still costing us a lot of money. So, and then the hockey organization that was going in there, they could have went there. You had the church that could have went there, and it wouldn't have cost us anything. And it probably would have put just as many people in bed and used the Civic Center. And it wouldn't have cost. The Civic Center's lost money ever since it went into existence.
Well,
And they keep telling us it's good for the town, the county, and everything else. But when they put the Civic Center in, you can check back, and a majority of people in the city didn't want the Civic Center. And so, you know, from that, we've paid all ever since it's been in existence. You know, that to me, that don't make much sense.
well, let me share some thoughts with you. There is an economic study done that shows the economic impact of the Civic Center on the region. The economic impact is that the Civic Center brings in millions and millions of dollars in revenue. It brings in people that attend events, go to our hotels, eat at our restaurants, fill up on our gas, shop at our stores. They do contribute to the economic base of the whole region. The other point that I would like to make, and there's a study to prove that. The other point I'd like to make is that the $50,000 that they're asking for isn't coming out of taxpayer pockets. They're asking for it out of OCTAX. We get 230,000. It varies from year to year in OCTAX. And usually we give it to museums and startup events and so forth. The Civic Center is making the argument that it has to be a capital plan. This building and the equipment in this building, they all need constant attention, and that means money. They need replacement, and that needs money in order to keep surviving. Okay, another thought I want to share. Yes, it could go private, and it might at the end of the next term. But the advantage to it being owned by the city, they can apply for grants. If it was privately held, it'd be much more difficult to apply for grants. Being city-owned, and now it's not the $1 million loss to the city anymore, and what that used to cost them to maintain. And so it's kind of unloaded that burden from the city, and their argument is it's a regional center. The region benefits from it. Why should it be just a city burden? So I think it's a good point. So, what would the area be like without the Civic Center? I mean, you mentioned hockey, but there's so many other things. There's so many young hockey players that use the ice. The place is busy from morning till night. People even walk the upstairs thing to get exercise. It is really a community thing. And the thing about it is, there is no Civic Center that I'm aware of anywhere. Utica, Rome, Albany, all of them have Civic Center. None of them make money. They all cost money. But the bigger picture is they do make money in terms of the local economy in ways that I expressed to you before.
Yeah.
So I understand your position. I appreciate your position, George, and I used up your time. So if you have something to
Yeah.
say.
No, I was just gonna say that the grants are the grant, everybody thinks that's free money. That's my money too. If you get something from the state,
I know, but if you're gonna pay $1 and you get $5 back, would you do it?
I don't know about that,
Well-
I'm strictly against it, so that's
All right,
my
you're
feeling.
entitled to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? Yes.
Dave Duell, Town of Queensbury Highway Superintendent. Just one thing, we're starting, the Highway Department does some of their own painting of stop bars, turn arrows, things like that throughout the town every year up by the Queensbury School area, things like that. This year, we're scheduled to restripe and paint the roundabout area up by an Aviation Road, and that's probably going to require a shutdown or detour of some sort to get that accomplished. And we'll put that out on the website possibly. We get that going. Maybe a bit to Kathleen, just a heads up to residents that there's going to be some disruptions, in the traffic flow for a period of time. But we're just talking about it here recently, so just to let people know, maybe in a form like this when we get a exact date, pending the weather, when we're going to do this. So
All right.
probably a day or so to get it done.
Okay, thank you for that heads up. So when you know particular dates,
Mhm.
you tell me, I can tell Kathleen, or you can call Kathleen, and there's not another town board meeting for 2 weeks, but we'll work to get the word out.
Right. It'll probably be in that period of time. We have our signboard as well. We're trying to get
How long
that.
would the circle have to be closed down?
He didn't give me an exact time. I wouldn't think it would take much more than a day to paint the whole thing complete. So hopefully it's fairly quickly. It depends on the weather, paint to dry, and how quickly we can get in there and get it done. So
Okay,
it's been, how long has it been in there now? 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
6 years, yeah.
So yeah, it's been in there. So it's just due to be repainted. So
All right, so now why have you up here? George had a question to me, and I said I'd ask you. You can ask him now, George.
I asked him already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, well, how
The
about?
question was about the commissioning of the light at Cottage Hill, Aviation Road by the school.
yes,
We talked about that where we could get that done during July and August, that could be operational. by then.
exactly. I can ask Still Saying Electric when it is on schedule to be active. Of course, we'd like to have everything worked out before school
Right.
season starts, and
So you call Still Singing, tell him that.
I'll tell them, John.
All right, Mark, you were.
I'll see if they can give me a really exact date,
Yeah,
time,
thank you.
what's going on
Yeah,
with
we
it. So,
appreciate that.
alrighty, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
We'll think of something if you stay up long enough.
I'm good.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else? All right. Town board discussions. Let's start with you, Jennifer. Jennifer, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm very sorry about the fire your parents had, recently. And that's got to be very trying for your father and mother, and I know both of them. And so, our thoughts are with them.
Thank you.
And anything we can do You know, like I'll put my jeans on and my work shirt and I can go help out. You just tell me when.
I wish that it was still in a shape that you could do that, but unfortunately, it's a total loss.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Well, I used to build houses.
that we may take you up on.
Okay.
So basically, just to follow up on that, the only comment I have to make is to thank all the fire companies that were involved, especially West Glens Falls and Jeff Daly. I've always been a supporter of our fire and EMS squads, but when it touches you personally, it has an even greater impact on you. And one side that I'd never really seen, we always hear about the technical side. We always hear about the equipment that they need and the training that they need, but something that again, unfortunately I had to experience was the compassion that they had for my family, for my mom and my dad. They were really compassionate. They were really thoughtful about how they operated, asking us if there were specific things that needed to come out of the house, because my parents got out of the house basically in their pajamas and that was it. So, and I also wanted to thank West Glens Falls EMS and Bay Ridge because they were there as well. So, again, it's one of those services I think we take for granted sometimes, but when it happens to you, you really realize the value of it. So kudos to the town of Queensbury and their fire protection services. That's all I
People
have.
really appreciate it when I see it in action.
Absolutely. That's all
Thank
I
you,
have.
Jennifer.
Yep.
George?
Well, Jennifer, there was a principal Switzer last Friday who did
was
the
a busy week for
graduation
us.
at the school, Queensbury High School. My granddaughter graduated, but it was a great program. They got it done in 2 hours, which was very good.
Yes, 260 students.
Yeah, quite a number, so that was very enjoyable. The only other thing I had was I caught something today. I do get a Albany Business Review, and they listed the top 50 fastest growing companies in the Capital District. And I took note of the fact that we had 3 here in Queensbury. We had Store Tech was number 21. Gross Electric was listed as number 30, and Hudson Headwaters Health Network was number 40. So we wish them congratulations and continued success in their businesses. They're right here. And one other one was listed. It's kind of in our backyard, but for Glens Falls, VMJR Companies was listed as well. So,
Okay, very good.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you, George. Catherine?
I don't have anything amazingly enough. Nothing, zero.
All right, thank you. Tony?
So apparently you're stuck with me for 2 more years. I do want to thank everybody for your support, but I also want to clarify something that I said, and I said it, and Kathleen reported it, and totally my fault, but I was trying to explain that I was somewhat surprised that I didn't do as well as I thought I would, and that I have a lot of work to do. And it was reported that my opponent did very well, or I was surprised by how well he did. And that wasn't my intention or my thought. I just wanted to point out the fact that I've been doing this for 13 years, and you do discover every 2 years you lose more and more support because somebody would have called you and wasn't happy with an outcome. So while you continually decline in the ratings, if you will, I'd like to think that I have continued to serve my constituents pretty well. And so my point was I have a lot of work to do to earn their trust again and their vote. And I didn't in any way want to, take a swing at my opponent or anything like that. That was not my intention whatsoever. So my apologies for that. I've had a few people comment on it, and I sometimes, in the heat of the moment, tend to express things in the wrong light, and I did that night, and I was embarrassed by it, and I've had quite a few people say something to me. So my apologies to my opponent. That's not what I meant. I just wanted to say that I have a lot of work to do to earn the trust of some of my constituents, and that was my point to it. So again, no blame on Kathleen. She reported it exactly as it was said. And when I read it the next day, I was the first one to say, I can't believe I said that. And a lot of people have said, I can't believe you said that. And they have every right to say that. So my apologies to Mr. Ryan, and let's move on and be done with it. So, and while I have you here, we too experienced a family tragedy, and I just want to thank Connie. She's a sweetheart. And your staff, really, I was impressed. It was a tragic, terrible time in our lives, and I just want to say that, everybody did, it was great. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. And, we're all human. And in this job, you say things that didn't quite come out. Maybe it's the Freudian part. Maybe it came out exactly the way we thought it. We shouldn't have said it. But we're all human, and I think it should be appreciated that you just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Actually, I do have something.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you were going to mention it, though, about the Langmuir Award.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, Queensbury is going to get the Fund for Lake George Waterkeeper Langmuir Award on Saturday for our work that we did for the waterfront residential reduction of stormwater actions, zoning code, basically, all zoning code changes to increase the buffers and the vegetation of the buffers and site plan review and so forth. So we're gonna get that on Saturday morning.
So that's Saturday morning.
9 o'clock at
Sagamore.
Sagamore.
Wow.
Yeah, 8:30 or 9? It starts at 9. I think registration is up to 8:30.
Breakfast, I think there's a little something.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
wow.
what I read.
All right, well, if you can make it, then good. I'm glad you thought of that. Anything else?
No, that's it, that's-
All right, my turn. In the moment everybody waits for. Yeah, the eyes roll. All right, so, but the first thing is, Wednesday night, July 3rd, you have the Glens Falls Symphony at Crandall Park. What a great event. What beautiful music. And the fireworks. And the town of Queensbury contributes to that experience. But I think we have to really deeply appreciate the efforts of our music director, Charles Paltz, the executive director, Jennifer Brink, the board of directors, all the folks in the orchestra. The bottom line is, we're very lucky to have such a well-acclaimed symphony as a part of our community. I mean, bigger communities, yes, but we're not a big community. And we have this big community symphony. And the music is wonderful, it's excellent. Starts at 7:30. And there's an antique car show. I just joined the Adirondack automobile enthusiasts. And so my 29 will be down there on Wednesday night, along with some other more beautiful cars. But again, it's the music. And then again, always a plus, the fireworks. Wednesday night, starting 7:30. And thousands of people, I think, what was it, 6,000 or 7,000 people go to this? It's huge, because it's so good. So I'd like to thank Glens Falls Orchestra. All right. Now, I saw how disappointed you were last time when I didn't have time to do the supervisor's report to community and board. Well, I made it for it. So it's starting from June 4th. Now, I just highlighted this.
You
All
were
right.
really waiting for Catherine to come back here. You're waiting for what?
Yeah.
For you to come back.
Yeah. He didn't
That's
want you
it.
to miss anything.
Yeah, right. Catherine would have been mad at me. All right, but there's a new Dix Avenue Diner, and thanks to the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Lake George Chamber of Commerce, they invite me as the ambassador of the town to these ribbon cuts. There's a new diner. It's the Dix Avenue Diner. You have to go and try it. That same day, June 5th, we had an EMS committee, and we reviewed and assessed the proposals. We had, I think, 5 proposals. Was it 5?
5.
For EMS efficiency consulting. We reviewed those proposals. We decided that there was one that was preferred. We've dialed 3 that we liked, but one was preferred. So we had a brief interview with that person the other day, and we've adjusted the costs. And so, Jennifer, I'll catch up with you on that soon. Did a site visit, Jennifer and I, to 81 Haviland to review a quality of a driveway repair. And what happened was, it was the end of the year. We had to do a water main work, and it was on the end of this guy's driveway, and it was December. Guys could come and reach the end of this driveway, and so I guess the water department's going to be doing
We
that.
will be doing it in the next week to 2 weeks.
Okay. And then I was invited to go to the annual senior luncheon hosted by the Warren Hamilton County's Office for the Aging. And I want to thank the Office for the Aging Director, Deanna Park. It was a wonderful experience with seniors recognized all over the region. On Saturday, I went to Local 773 Centennial Dinner. They've been around for 100 years, 1919 to 2019, and it was an occasion to celebrate the 100 years of Local 773. Sunday, the June 9th, I had to go to Fort Ticonderoga. I think I talked to you about this before. Author Christian Despania wrote a book, The Founding Martyr, The Life and Death of Joseph Warren, and the American Revolution's Lost Hero. And the last meeting, I spoke to that because he died, his 244th anniversary date was June 17th. And it's the reason why we named our county after him. And Superintendent Gettert's here tonight, and she can attest to the fact that the memorial, the monument with Warren and the flag is not where the Joseph Warren is buried, as some people like to think.
That's correct.
Yes. Okay. All right. On Monday, June 10th, I had a Capital Region Economic Development meeting to discuss this year's CFA, Consolidated Funding Application process. We also had a town board workshop that night where we talked about occupancy tax and their allocations and community fund allocations. And then Chairman Conover, chairman of the Warren County Board of Supervisors, appointed me to the Bloom Festival Committee, like I needed one more thing. However, it's a good thing. And I'll tell you what, I just never thought of the million details that have to be done by this committee and all these people. There was about 15 of them who get paid nothing, put hours and hours of their time to make this Bloom Festival happen. Things I just never thought about. It's really consuming, and those people, I'm going to get their names and give them credit. They deserve it. All right, June 14th, Friday, we did a site visit to Argyle to look at their salt barn. It was done by a company that we're very interested in. And so their salt barn is very nice. I don't think we can build one as big as theirs, but I think we can build one that's bigger than ours now. Yes, George was with me. And we got a tour of the Peckham mining operation in, is Argyle, was it? Or
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury. And that was impressive. So that was those are field trips I like doing.
Good tour.
Okay, then Saturday I did a run and walk for Big Brothers Big Sisters, Bill Tackett. I want to thank you for organizing that. And then Monday, I think I told you about, and I had a meeting down on the DEC building in Albany on the 14th floor with Commissioner Basil Sagos and Region 5 Director Bob Stegeman. All right, and June 17th was the 244th anniversary of
The death of Joseph.
Joseph Warren. See, you're getting it. All right,
Warren
test on the next meeting. All right, June 18th, Tuesday, first thing in the morning was the YMCA annual meeting. George was there as well. And then I went from there to a Store Tech IT meeting, and then I went from there up to ribbon cutting at Waiawaka. And then I had to come back here for a meeting on paper cut software, and that's a new software. It's an old software, not too new, but we are explaining to our department managers how this print management service works and how it will save the town money and save paperwork and so forth, and that there is a big difference in the price between color and black and white. So a little memorandum will now come up on their computer. Do you know that you're printing this in color and you know that this will cost an additional? If you agree, go ahead. But otherwise, go with black and white. Yeah, so we should start saving money. We did a site visit to Mark and Sue Laporance Lake Sunnyside house. George with us. Wednesday, June 19th, annual review of our workplace violence policy. And then the Queensbury Climate Smart Communities Committee meeting. And then that night I had an Eagle Scout ceremony and gave presentation on behalf of the town of Queensbury. On June 20th, Thursday, I met with Rich Paris to discuss the fee schedule that you just approved. On June 21st, we had a meeting on a pre-circle and what we could do for stormwater management in that area. And what some other people should do too, not just the town. And then I met with John and Carol Collins on Lake George Management Plan. The town of Queensbury is a sponsor of that Lake George Management Plan. The grant money, it's grant number C100678, or I just call it 678 for short. On Sunday, 23rd, did a site visit to Rush Pond, first thing Sunday morning. Some of the local residents were concerned about the beavers who made a dam there, and it's backed up water in Rush Pond, and they think it's contributing to the high water table that's causing the water appearing in their basements. So I'll talk to the DEC about that problem. June 24th, Monday, we had Hyde Museum luncheon at the Lake George Boat Club. They have a new CEO, Norm Dasher, wonderful person. I think he's going to do great things for Hyde Museum. There's other great people working for Hyde, but also the Lake George Boat Club. And so I mentioned to somebody, if I win the lottery, I'm going to become a member of the Lake George Boat Club. And they said, well, they'll put your name on a waiting list.
That's right.
All right. So I didn't run out and buy my lottery card anyways. All right, then that night we had a town board workshop, and we talked about wastewater buy-in charges, Climate Smart Communities Program grant applications. We talked about the proposed draft digital signage law, the proposed draft nuisance law, the proposed short-term rental law, or permit, whatever we end up calling it. We talked about Bay Road speeding. We talked about ground-mounted solar. And HR, I never did get talking about
Nope.
HR.
No, you didn't.
You blew right through that one.
All right, well, I'll come back around to next workshop. Jerome Avenue, we talked about, transfer station fee schedule, and the Ridge Road Transfer Station trailer were all talked about at that workshop. June 26th, We had a Lake George partnership meeting where we talked about that Lake George master plan and what we would like it to be. We also came back and had a cookout for Sue Hemingway. She was 32 years here at the town of Queensbury, and she did wonderful work, and we're going to really miss Sue. So we were wishing her good well. We had a little cookout for her. A site visit at Ridge Road Landfill, where the EPA, Sidney Pleasic, and others from the EPA, there was 3 of them from the EPA, they're assessing that landfill for possible solar use. On Thursday, June 27th, we had our final pathway corridor study meeting. 3 areas were identified where we need to pay attention and improve. Route 9 and Round Pond Road intersection. It needs to be aligned with the connector road on behalf of the Great Escape. That connector road would also work as a new access area for Martha's Ice Cream because the center lane between those intending to use Round Pond Road and those intending to use Martha's is a gauntlet. What is it when those knights charge after one another?
Justin?
Yeah, it's like a jousting thing. Only you're in cars.
It's chicken.
Playing chicken, yeah, that's another thing. All right, well anyways, and it's very unfriendly in terms of pedestrian use. So everyone seems to be on board, the Great Escape, Martha's Ice Cream, the town of Queensbury, the New York State DOT in terms of doing something on that intersection. All right, the other thing that was mentioned, of course, was the $1 Million Mile. Putting in an extra lane or 2 would really reduce the backups. And there was concerns about the backup for the exit 20 southbound ramps that are queuing into the travel lanes of the Northway, a very dangerous situation. Something needs to be done. But also you have a 20-minute lag time period of vehicles going through there on holidays and during the summer. And you and I, we all know it, we avoid the area. And we were talked about whether should there be an economic study done that traffic, which some people think helps the stores, may even hinder the stores. Because a lot of people avoid the area altogether because of the road issues. So we talked about that. We know it needs attention, and we talked about some of the fixes. Weeks Road realignment was the 3rd thing. It should have been, Weeks Road should have been aligned to Sweet Road, and because it's signalized already. And then Friday, June 28th. I got to give Sarah and Spencer Montgomery a lot of credit and their financial team. We got a tour of their Aerial Adventure Park, or some people are calling it the Treetop Adventure Park. And they have different levels. They have beginners, family, intermediate, and expert levels of treetop things. You can't get, I don't think you can get hurt. You have 2 clamps. And the clamps have radio talk. They can't be disconnected at the same time. There are situations where you've got to unclamp one, make your moves, reclamp it in another place, unclamp and reclamp. And it's great exercise, it's thrilling, it's a fun adventure. I think they will see hundreds of thousands of visitors per year. And I think this is a great thing for Queensbury, and it's a great thing for West Mountain Ski Center because it brings in some revenue for them during the summer. And I even said, you know, with this adventure thing, and you got to get the lift up to get to it, which is fun, I think. If there was like an arts and craft or adventure festival with music and everything going on down below, tied in with this, I can see great things happening. They got plenty of parking for it. They got public facilities for big crowds. I just see other things happening there. And then we're here tonight. Okay, well, that's my supervisory report to board and community. It wasn't that painful, was it? The time is 8:30. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. I want to thank Look TV, Joel Barlow, the cameraman. I'd like to thank our sponsors, especially Stored Tech. I thank the public for coming. Thank you, Town Council Bob Hoffner and Deputy Town Clerk Karen O'Brien and Town Board. I wish you all well. Have a happy 4th of July. You notice who did come with red, white, and blue on? Yeah, okay. Yes.
Yes, I forgot
It's here.
my tie.
Everyone's, summer's here? Yeah, finally. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Switzer, seconded by Councilman Atherton. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan are one of New York's largest independently owned insurance agencies. Public Affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.